Now let's move on to the movies. I want to talk about the new movies that I've seen first that released this year, and then I'll talk about the movies I've seen elsewhere, otherwise. So let's start off with Nobody. I believe I watched Nobody when we came back from the rib cook-off with my dad. And it was something he was excited for because, oh my God, look at this action. It looks cool. I was really excited because, oh my God, look at this action. It looks cool. And it's Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Bob Odenkirk. So we watched it and we really enjoyed it. We both liked it a lot. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It wouldn't have been as good, though, if Bob Odenkirk wasn't in the movie because his mannerisms and the dedication he had to the physicality of this character in this movie really added something to it. Bob Odenkirk's fantastic in Breaking Bad. He's phenomenal in Better Call Saul. From what I've seen, I've only seen up to season 4. I need to start season 5 soon. But anyways, so the plot of the movie is, I'm gonna call him Saul because I forgot his name. Saul worked in the military and now he's just a family man. And he yearns for the military stuff. So when people break into his house, he lets them go and he doesn't kill them because he wants to keep his family safe. He doesn't want to introduce them back to that lifestyle. But he finds out that they stole something from him and he wants to get it back. It's just something small, like it was a kitty cat bracelet essentially from his daughter. And the beginning of the movie is a montage of how his life is redundant and repetitive, and how it's unpleasing to him. And so he gets this opportunity to live the old days again. So he tracks down the people who broke into his house, and then he realizes that they just needed money because they had a baby daughter or whatever. So he goes outside, punches a wall, and he gets into a bus. And then there's these guys harassing a girl, and he beats the crap out of them. But it turns out that one of the guys he beat up was actually like the nephew of this Russian mafia or whatever, like the leader of this Russian mafia or whatever. And to me, that was an issue, which is how the plot moved along. Because it could have been that the Russian family, whatever, broke into the house and he found them and beat them up or whatever. But instead, it had to be, these guys broke into my house. I went to go beat them up. But then I left because I saw that they had a daughter, and it led me to a bus where I fought this Russian family. Or I fought these Russians, dude. And then I got trapped into this other story. So the way that flowed along was an issue for me, at least. But it was something to get the character moving. And from then on, it's just balls out action. And I loved it. All the action in the film was amazing. The gunshots, the fighting, the choreography was amazing. You could feel the physicality of it all. And Saul, the character, he's not perfect. He gets punched. He gets stabbed. And it looks like he loses at some points. And it really adds a lot to it. And Christopher Lloyd is in the movie. And Christopher Lloyd, I love Christopher Lloyd. He is Doc from Back to the Future, my favorite movie. And who else is in the movie? There was someone else in the movie that my dad was like, what? And I was like, what? Who is that? Let me see. But it was really, really damn enjoyable. This movie was great. RZA, is that his name? Riza? I don't know. But he was in the movie, and my dad was like, yo, that's cool. So big action scenes. That's really it. Really cool. After that, it's just a bunch of action scenes. I really enjoyed it. I'll give it I'm gonna say a B+. Really enjoyable movie. One of my favorites of the year so far. I'd love to watch it again. It was just really great action. It looked great. Really funny moments. And Saul, Bob Odenkirk was fantastic. He really dedicated a lot of himself into this movie. And go definitely check it out. It's fantastic. I love this movie. Let's see what's next. Mortal Kombat. This is one of the movies I got to watch on HBO Max. I watched Mortal Kombat when we came back from the rib cook-off because it came out that weekend. So, Mortal Kombat, video game movie. It's happened before. I didn't watch them, but apparently they were awful. So, a more serious take on the Mortal Kombat film. And for the most part, I liked it. I liked Mortal Kombat. There was a lot of stupid stuff in it, but it was enjoyable. I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. I don't really play the Mortal Kombat games. I don't know a lot of the lore. But this film felt like a setup for more movies, which kind of, it's basically a waste of time essentially when you think about it, because Mortal Kombat, from what they said, is a tournament of fighters, of people trying to conquer other worlds and defend their worlds, whatever. And we don't get that in this movie. What we get is people from like aliens or whatever breaking the law, breaking the rule of Mortal Kombat, and going down to Earth to eliminate their fighters so that they could just take over Earth, whatever. So that's the plot. Our main character is a family man who fights, and he has a family. And the special effects go from looking okay to looking pretty good. Like, they didn't look awful. The best parts of the movie were the Sub-Zero or anything with Sub-Zero was the best part of the movie. The action's really cool and fun and over the top and goofy. There are quite some funny moments. Kano, I think that's his name, like the Australian guy who gets a laser eye, has a lot of great jokes in the movie. I thought some of the music was cool. The Mortal Kombat theme was really cool. The fight scenes were all really, really good. Especially some of the special effects incorporated with the fight scenes, like Sub-Zero and the ice stuff, and Scorpion whenever he's in the film with some of the fire stuff or whatever. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. I liked a lot of the fatality scenes, but I wish some of the locations would have been more interesting where they fought. And there's like a fake out death at the end where Sub-Zero freezes the guy's daughter and wife, and they're supposed to be dead, but then it turns out that they just got thawed out and they're okay. But it just made the stakes non-existent in this movie, especially at the end where like the main guy for the alien side is all like, yo, I'm just gonna revive my old guys back and we'll be back later, okay, bye. So I'm thinking, what the hell, where are the stakes at? Where are the consequences? I guess everyone will just be okay because you can just thaw out people that have been frozen. But there's a lot of stupid stuff, but I can say Mortal Kombat was definitely an enjoyable film. I don't think it was awful in any way. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's great. It was just enjoyable. It was good. I'd give Mortal Kombat a C. Not amazing, but it's not awful. It was enjoyable for the most part. Okay, what other new film have I seen this year? What's on the list? Coming to America. I've only seen the first Coming to America a couple times, but I like it. I think it's hysterical. Eddie Murphy is fantastic. And it does a lot. I learned this in a religion class about Buddhism. It has a lot to do with Buddhism and about the great pains that one feels throughout life. And there's a lot to appreciate about that. But in Coming to America, that's how I say it, Coming to America, because I hate when movies do this where they incorporate the number of what film it is in the title. Like And what I hate most about it is Menace to Society. I will never say Menace to Society, the film. I will always say Menace to Society because it uses the Roman numeral 2. So it's Menace to Society. I will always say it that way, no matter what. So Coming to America tells a story about how Eddie Murphy's character rules the land that he's in, but a rival land goes, yo, we're going to take over, yada, yada. Your father's dead. And he was king, whatever. So Eddie Murphy, he's going to be king, but he doesn't have a son. But it turns out he ended up having a son while he was in New York in the first film. So goes to New York to find his son, and he tries to make him king so he can marry the daughter of the other group so they can make peace. So it's your simple love story of I don't want to love this person, yada yada. But I can say this, I enjoyed myself. I didn't think the film was awful. I didn't think the film was great. It was funny. There's a lot of great hysterical moments. I thought Eddie Murphy was great too. I didn't like the editing and the action scenes that were because I was like, oh, obvious stunt doubles, whatever. Eddie Murphy obviously isn't fighting with these sticks in this scene, whatever. A lot of the modern humor, some of it worked, some of it didn't. But there's this scene that I laughed my ass off in because there was like a news story going on the TV, and on the bottom headlines you could read what's going on, and it was like the first electric car in this country broke down on the freeway causing a traffic jam because there's no way to recharge it again. It was so funny. Like the stuff like that is hysterical. There's a joke about how the son and his mom move in, and he has to be naked while the girls bathe him, and the mom was like, don't worry about it, this is part of their culture, you do your thing. So when he leaves, a man washing her private area comes up from the water, and she goes, oh, you can go again. Humor like that is hysterical. I was kind of disappointed though about the overabundance of CGI in the film. A lot of the settings, like the big wide shots of the world, and there's a lion and stuff. I was surprised that there would be that much in it, and some of it didn't look so great. But the gripes I have with this movie are made up with the humor, and a lot of the great humor, especially with Eddie Murphy, especially with the characters he plays in the barbershop, and another issue I had with the film was that it took so long for the film to get going, especially when his father, is on his deathbed. He has this funeral for him, and it goes on for so long with like these big musical numbers, and then it happens at the end again with these big musical numbers that go on for so long. I was thinking, oh my god, I'm not gonna like this film, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the film and how much I laughed. I think anyone could watch it and get a kick out of it. It's enjoyable. It's not bad, but it's not that great. It was an enjoyable watch. I might want to watch it again soon. I'll give it a C+. Coming to America. Now, the new Pixar animated film, Luca. I have very, very mixed feelings on it because I got a lot of Kiki's Delivery Service vibes from it, because it's about a fish boy named Luca, who whenever the fish people travel onto surface, they turn into humans. They never explain that. I wish they would have, whatever. And Luca doesn't like his life as a fish farmer, whatever. So he meets Alberto, and they go to an Italian area and try to live their lives as boys. And they're at this place where everyone hates the fish people, the sea monsters, for some reason, and they want to kill the sea monsters, so they have to hide themselves amongst the humans. All the while they meet Julia, this other character, who is a fun character, probably my favorite character in the movie, who wants to win this race against his butthole, who's too old to enter the race, but he does anyways, and he's the big bully character. And All the while, Luca's parents are looking for him. Um, what I liked most about the movie was that it's very simple. It's very not so serious. There's no message to be shoved down your throat. It's just it would have been the perfect summer movie because a lot of it is about freedom and just wanting to go. There's jealousy that Alberto is jealous because Luca wants to go to school with Julia, and he wants to learn about the world and stuff. But I felt um, that incident. I'm trying to think of the specific name for it in film terms, whatever. But what led to the third act, I felt that point, the low point of the film where the characters separate and they get mad at each other. I felt that was a little ungenuine, and it happened so quick. And then Alberto goes in the water to show Julia, like, "Hey, I'm a fish person." So is Luca, and the Luca's like, "Oh, I don't know you. Where's Alberto?" That felt a little ingenuine. And then what happens with every Pixar film is that you always get teary eyed, or you always cry. Well, with me at least, because I'm a big baby. And it's weird because even in their lesser films, like Luca isn't that great of a movie. It's one of their more lower tier films. What happens though is that they always bring up this point in the film where you get sad because something happened to the character in the past or something happens to them now, and they get sad about it. And it's I watched it, and the thing is like Alberto is a human boy, or he's a fish person, but he lives as a human, and he lives in this lighthouse, and he's waiting for his dad to come back. But you see all these marks on the wall, as he counts the days until his dad comes back. But he, yada yada. My dad never came back. He said I can live on my own, whatever. I don't know why, but they get to those scenes and they always feel so like, oh my god, this is so sad. I'm gonna get teary eyed. Um, I have my issues with the film. I really do. I didn't hate the movie, but it's such a missed opportunity. Really, it could have been so much more. I was talking to one of my friends about it. He said it could have been a short film. I'm thinking, oh my god, it could have been one of those short films where they don't talk, where everything is like explained and expressed through movements and motions and stuff. And I found the music to be okay. Ennio Morricone, they wanted to ask him to compose, but he passed away, so they had someone else do it. I don't know who. Um, the animation, it looks good. Pixar animation always looks good, but the art style, I just can't get through the art style of the characters. They just look so strange and not uncanny valley, but they just look so awkward and not polished, but they don't look fully realized. It looked, oh, let's make them have these looks so they can look cute, and like the characters in Ratatouille, the human characters, those look like legit, people and stuff that could look real or whatever. The characters in here just look weird and strange. Like Luca's weirdly round head and Alberto's weirdly straight head, stuff like that is strange. I couldn't get behind the art style and the character designs. Like it makes more sense for them being the fish people. I also thought the movie's pacing was strange because I felt it moved too fast in the beginning where Luca wants to go to the surface. Like, why is it now he wants to go to the surface all of a sudden? Because he sees something drop from there? And, like, what exactly does he hate about being a fish farmer? So, that's why he wants to go to the surface, to see more stuff. And then him and Alberto want to get a Vespa so they can drive around the world on a Vespa and explore together. But I also like that the Pixar villain wasn't like a super serious villain. But it was nice to see just some douchebag. But I don't think the film really needed a villain. It just could have been about these two characters. But, it's such a not a disappointment, but I just expect more from Pixar. I expected more from Pixar, but it felt like there was so much potential in this story that just got washed away, or they didn't fully realize, how much more they could have done. And we never even see why these people hate the sea monster so much, or we never see why the parents don't want Luca to go up there, because do they even know that the people want to kill the sea monsters or whatever? There's some great jokes in it. Um, I think the pasta, they cook a bunch of pasta in the movie. They do close ups of it. I think it looks really good. Like, there's a lot of animation that looks really, really good. But the character designs I really can't get behind. I like I like the setting, the Italian setting. But I just couldn't help but get a lot of Kiki Delivery Service vibes, which I watched recently. I'll talk about that. Yeah, Kiki Delivery Service. Luca, I'll give it a C. Um, I liked it at first, but thinking on it a little more, I couldn't help but just think, it's so whatever. Like, Pixar used to be magical. Pixar used to be this powerhouse in animation. They killed Western 2D animation films. You don't see a lot of them anymore. And Pixar is the reason why, because they did something new, something never really seen before. And now that they've just they've been coasting on people just watching them and feeling sad about it and thinking that's why the movie is good. But I don't know. Luca is just so okay. I'll give it a C minus. Um, I'll talk about Kiki's Delivery Service in a little bit. Right now, I want to talk about the newest 2021 film that I've seen this year. That being what I watched this morning, Space Jam: A New Legacy. Um, I thought it was dog shit. Now, Space Jam, the first film, is not a good movie, but it's so memorable because it is such a piece of its time. It is the 90s. The soundtrack, the look of the film, Michael Jordan, the Looney Tunes. It's such a piece of its time that it's oddly enjoyable. The humor especially. And it was something not brave, but something cool. It was an original idea. Michael Jordan gets sent to the Looney Tunes world because he has to help them play in a basketball game so they don't become slaves to an amusement park run by alien Danny DeVito. This film, Space Jam: A New Legacy, LeBron James has a conflict with his son where his son wants to be a video game designer, but LeBron James wants to be a basketball player. And so when Warner Brothers asks LeBron James to come in for movie deals, Don Cheadle's character, called Algorithm, short for algorithm, because he's an algorithm, Don Cheadle, in this movie, he wants to scan LeBron James and put him in movies and other media stuff so they can make a lot of money, because LeBron James is this big superstar. And he's like one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But LeBron James says no, that's a terrible idea. But LeBron James' son says, oh, that's cool. Let's do, how does it work? So Algorithm traps them into the serververse. That's what it's called, for the Warner Brothers serververse, where all Warner Brother properties live. Now, this brings up a plot hole involving the first film, because in the first film, Michael Jordan gets snatched into a golf hole underneath the earth where the Looney Tunes lived, apparently. But in this film, they're in the servers. They're all digitized in the servers. But I guess they're the same characters because they remembered everything from Space Jam. Because they reference Space Jam a lot. And it's dumb. I didn't like this movie a lot. So Don Cheadle tells LeBron James, we're going to play basketball because this hasn't been done before. You beat my team, you get to go home with your son. But if I beat your team, your son and you and everyone everyone stays here forever in the Silververse. So LeBron James wants to get the Iron Giant and Superman and all these other Warner Brother characters, but he meets Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny tricks him and going, "No, we're gonna get my squad back together because they left me because Algae Rhythm told them there's other stuff out there, and we're gonna go see this other stuff, you know." So we get like, I don't know, 30 minutes of LeBron James and Bugs Bunny traveling to the different Warner Brother worlds where the Looney Tunes reside. Like, we go to Casablanca, we go to Game of Thrones, Rick and Morty, the DC world, and then Wonder Woman. And that whole section could have been taken out because it means nothing to the overall plot of the film. Like, there's this moment where Bugs Bunny's sad because they left him and, family matters and stuff. But it doesn't mean anything in the overall scheme of things. It's just there for references because Warner Brothers. And, people complain about Ready Player One, another Warner Brothers film, having so many references, but that's the whole point of it. It's a film where everyone lives in everyone plays a virtual reality game, and you can be whatever you want, and at least those references mean something. Like the Shining reference, where they're playing a level for The Shining, or the Back to the Future car being there. It's a thing you can drive in there. It's a video game, whatever. But in this movie, they're just references for the sake of being references. Like, haha, Big Chungus. Oh my fucking god, Big Chungus. LeBron James goes to the Toon World, and then Bugs Bunny is there, and he transforms into Big Chungus for like 2 seconds because it's a meme, Big Chungus. It was a big meme for a time, but it's that stupid meme because it's just a couple of seconds of Bugs Bunny being a big fat rabbit for a couple seconds. And it's just, haha, Big Chungus. I understood that reference. This movie is very funny. Haha, it understands the meme culture. And then you see Rick and Morty for like 10 seconds. Morty, we're in Space Jam, Morty. It's a reference. It's funny, Morty. Oh, gee, Rick, it's a reference. It's funny. No, it's not funny. I watched the movie and I didn't think I'd be as pissed off, but thinking back on, I'm really pissed because it doesn't even feel like a movie. It feels like a big, giant commercial. I'm not even going to give it the time of day to give it its own review. I'm really pissed off. This movie blows. It's awful. And I want to bring this up because I don't know if anyone's talked about it before, but in the first scene, we see LeBron James and his two sons on a basketball court. And I saw a lot of blue light on them, a lot of blue shading light on their faces and stuff. And I'm thinking, is this a real setting or is this on a blue screen? And is the blue screen light, bleeding onto their skin? Because there's no lights around them that are blue. The only blue thing there is the blue court, the floor. But that light shouldn't be that there are different shades of blue. So I'm thinking that set was on a blue screen, and that the blue screen was bleeding onto them, and they didn't correct it because with green screen a lot. And I saw this in a behind the scenes for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There aren't a lot of green screens for the airport battle scene, and on Captain America's shield you can see some of the green screen bleeding onto it. So they got to fix that in post. I noticed the blue screen in here. It has to be blue screen. It has to be because it was bleeding onto them for so much, especially throughout the rest of the movie. I'm thinking, and yeah, there were some blue lights, but there weren't blue lights shining that specific direction. I'm thinking, well, oh my god, it was so distracting. A movie with like a $200 million budget, apparently. They couldn't even fix that, or they couldn't film on an actual set. They had to use a blue screen for a basketball court set. It was so lazy. And speaking of lazy, the lip syncing for some of the animation scenes. LeBron James sees the Martian character, and he goes, Marvin the Martian. It didn't sync up right. I'm like, how could you mess that up? Oh my fucking god, this movie pisses me off. And then the animation is another thing. I know there's a bunch of talented people working on this movie for the animation. Not just the 2D stuff, but the 3D stuff as well. But none of it looked good. All the CGI looked really bad. And I could tell how detailed it was on like Bugs Bunny or the characters with fur, because they had to have a bunch of individual hairs on them. But the more smooth characters like Porky Pig or Granny or the Goon Squad, which is like the Monstars for this movie, which are video game characters based on actual basketball players, it didn't look good. It looked so fake and cheap and like a video game. Whereas characters in Ready Player One didn't really look like they were they just looked like CG characters set in a movie. It reminded me of like Corvus Glaive or whatever his name, or Morbius or whatever his name was from Infinity War, the guy with the spear that was tracking down Vision, and the lady that was also trying to track down Vision in Infinity War. It felt like those characters, because those characters looked so unpolished and fake that they looked like they belonged to Ready Player One, as in they looked like video game characters. And the Goon Squad looked like that a lot. And the animation style in the Toon World didn't really look that good too. I don't know why they stuck with that when they could have stuck with, throwing LeBron James on a green screen like they did with Michael Jordan for the Toon World. You could feel the passion when they made the first Space Jam. A lot of the stuff doesn't look so good now, which doesn't make sense because Who Framed Roger Rabbit did that stuff perfectly before. I believe it came up before. Yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit was like early 90s or late 80s. Actually, let me check this. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was 1988. And then Space Jam was freaking, 1993? 1996. How could they not have done that well at that point in time? They could easily do it well now, incorporating live action and CG together like that, or the hand-drawn animated characters. Maybe it was because Michael Jordan was in the CG world or was in the animated world. Maybe that's why it looked so off. Yeah, that's why it looked so off, especially with the camera angles they had with him. But with here, it feels so cheap and fake and boring looking. Like, I appreciate the work the animators did, because they spent a lot of time as the cartoons. And I couldn't get behind the art style. I really couldn't. But then they turned into the 3D models, and even those don't look good. Like, I can tell. I think the reason why they didn't look so good was because they were so hyper focused and hyper detailed that it just looked so fake. Like Lola Bunny didn't look good. The characters, the more smooth characters like Porky Pig, didn't look good. They just looked so cheap and fake that they belonged in a video game, not a movie. And also, one thing I want to bring up is that I laughed in this movie a couple times. Genuinely laughed like once or twice. And then the rest I laughed out of how dumb this movie was. You have so many Warner Brothers projects in it as references. Like, you get Don Cheadle going, "King Kong ain't got nothing on me." I don't know why they can't swear and say King Kong ain't got shit on me, like how Denzel did it, right? Is that what he said in Training Day, which is another movie we're gonna be talking about later, Training Day? But god damn it, that and Algae Rhythm's motives are kind of dumb, because LeBron James didn't appreciate his work. That he wants to trap everyone into the algorithm system, into the serververse, so they can watch Dom Ball, which is his son, and then they could watch basketball games forever. And there's a lot of moments in the film where characters say one-liners like "that's gotta hurt" or Granny going, "Can't a lady check her Twitter" in the Matrix setting and stuff. And they're so meant for trailers or TV spots, and they're not funny. And there's a scene where Porky Pig does a rap because in the middle of the basketball game, they do a rap battle so they can get more points. And they call him Notorious P.I.G. And then Porky Pig raps, and it's not funny. I wanted to leave. Actually, I wanted to turn my phone off. I watched on my phone. I wanted to turn my phone off and say, "Fuck this movie. It was really bad and stupid." But I watched it anyway, because I wanted to see what happened. The thing with what they did now is like, I think it especially shows in the soundtrack that they want it to be cool and hip and modern. And cool, hip, and modern now is totally different from 90s cool, hip, and modern. But now it's so strange because the humor is so varied. And none of the humor, most 99% of the humor in this film doesn't work. Like the only things I actually laughed at were when LeBron James freaks out about something or whatever, and when they say ball and the machine shoots the ball out at them and they catch it and the kid gets hit by it a couple times. That was kind of the only funny part about it. But besides that, everything else is stupidly funny. Like, oh my god, I can't believe they did it. This is so stupid. I'm laughing at how stupid these people are thinking that this will work. This is an awful film. I left watching the movie thinking I wasn't mad at it. Like, I was more like bored, and I felt no emotion aside from I was bored. But looking back on it, I'm actually furious that this thing got made and it's that bad. It's really bad. This movie is a complete waste of time. There was one thing that got me excited for this film. And that was when HBO Max put out this ad saying that, oh, you can watch HBO Max movies day in, day out with theaters, And it was a 1.5 second clip of the camera, panning upwards. No. A pan is side to side. A tilt is upward. How could I get my movie stuff wrong? I mean, what does that say about me as a filmmaker? The camera tilts upward while it's also moving upwards as well. And LeBron James's head and LeBron James's face looks worried and oh my god, what's happening? I was thinking, wow, LeBron James is going to be able to sell being in a 3D environment that something big and threatening is happening. I'm thinking, wow, maybe they put a lot more care and thought into this after all. But that was the only hope I had for about a couple seconds until the trailers came out. I thought, oh my god, this movie's going to be bad. And it is. It's awful. It's just a big, giant commercial for Warner Brothers properties. And I hated it. I really did. It's a bad movie. Don't watch it. I might not ever watch it again in my life. I might not ever want to even think about putting it on it. I'd rather watch Space Jam because at least Space Jam is memorable. This movie is not going to date very well, especially the humor and the look of it. It's just really bad. And they try to have an emotional side of the film with the father-son story about how he doesn't appreciate his son and the work he does and that he's not supposed to be his father. But it feels so not earned and genuine. It's really bad. It really is. I'm giving Space Jam: A New Legacy a D-. I would not give it an F because there were animators working on the film who did their best with what they had. LeBron James isn't awful. And I guess that's kind of it. It was cool to see Bugs Bunny. I loved Looney Tunes. But besides that, Everything else just seems so ungenuine. They try to make the Looney Tunes seem cool. The Looney Tunes aren't supposed to seem cool and hip. They're supposed to be the Looney Tunes. And it especially shows in that Porky Pig rap. Like, Porky Pig doesn't rap. He's supposed to be this goof that everyone makes fun of because of the way he talks. You know? And Lola Bunny was introduced in Space Jam to be Bugs Bunny's love interest. And she had no character then, but she also has no character now. Like, at least Bugs Bunny wants to get his family back together, you know? But they show Lola Bunny so much, but she has no character to her. And at least she had a character in the Looney Tunes show. The Looney Tunes show, which was a cartoon on Cartoon Network from like the 2010s, which was actually really good. It was actually really funny. It was a nice situational comedy. But especially when they show that Zendaya is in this film a lot. Zendaya. I don't know if it's Zendaya or Zendaya. I'm going to say Zendaya. They show Zendaya so much in the promotion, like, oh, it's featuring LeBron James and Zendaya. But I'm thinking there's no point in showing this because she serves no purpose to the film besides being the only Looney Tunes player that can actually play basketball well. You know? And then the end of the film is just an insult because they have to do this glitch that glitches out the game because Algae Rhythm is cheating in the game so that they can lose. So they go, LeBron James goes, I'm gonna glitch the game out by doing a specific moveset that actually broke the game when I was playing it with my son earlier in the movie. And so Bugs Bunny ends up doing it himself. And then he like dies, but then he goes to the real world after, they killed Don Cheadle's character basically. And Bugs just transfers to the real world and goes, see, I'm not dead. If he stayed dead, that would have been cool. Or if LeBron James' son was to reprogram Bugs Bunny back into the serververse, that would have been cool. But, he's fine. He's okay. Whatever. It could have been a strong moment for Bugs Bunny going, I just wanted my family back together. I could have wrote a better Space Jam movie than this garbage. Jesus Christ. Screw this movie. D-. I won't give it an F. Just because. A D-. It's the highest I'll give this movie. It was truly awful. Bad. Stupid.